educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa. Personal advocate to live, love, laugh, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Fay on ubnradio.com.
And welcome. My name is Dr. Marissa, the kinder, gentler Dr. Laura, and you're listening to my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, exclusively on Universal Broadcasting Network, transmitting from the Sunset Gower Studios in Hollywood, California. And I'm here with my talented fellow host, Bob, who's helping with my soundboard today, and my new assistant, Sandy Manuel, in the chit-chat room. You can ask questions by logging on to www.ubnradio.com, hitting channel 1 to talk to Sandy during the show. And, and that was for Bob, too. And for those of you who are tuning into the show for the first or the 88th time, this is a show about hope. It focuses on your life and not gossip about who's cheating on who, or who's twerking on stage, or who's getting pregnant faster or fatter. My guests and topic and balanced advice are all geared towards how you, my listeners, can be happy 88% of the time. And I'm your host, Dr. Marissa Pay. That's P for positive, EI. And I'm an organizational psychologist and a recovering perfectionist. So learning to live with balance came out of my own life experience and from working with successful, professional, and exhausted recovering control freaks like my fabulous listeners and myself. So welcome to my show where there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K-words, Kardashians. And if you want to listen to my A-list interviews with past Oprah and Larry King live guests like Melody Beattie, Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith, Dr. Pat Allen, Franz Drescher, and Dr. John Gray, then download the free podcast from iTunes. And if you like them, please give me the thumbs up. Okay, and just found out that great news, we have Rick O'Barry coming on in December. And for those of you who don't recognize that name, he was the first dolphin trainer on Flipper, and he has also been arrested 70 times for releasing dolphins. So it's kind of ironic. And I watched the documentary The Cove with my kids a couple of weeks ago and was just touched by the story. So so grateful that he's coming on. If you haven't watched that movie, please do, and then tune in. All my guests that are coming up, Trixie Norton from The Honeymooners, Beaver from Leave It to Beaver. The schedule is on my website, www.4balance.org. And you'll see it there. And for those of you who've been on the 21-day fast from complaining with me, today is day 15. And the balance tip is, much complaining stems from our critics in our head that incessantly chants the woulda, shoulda, couldas, especially loud in many women who think they are less attractive, less smart, and more heavy than they actually are. Many men, on the other hand, seem to think they are better looking, more buff, and have more hair than they actually do. So today, have a guy day and don't complain. All right, and now it's time to introduce my very special guests. I'm delighted to bring back two guests from my past shows who are tremendous beneficial presences on the planet. Jane Ekayu is a trauma counselor for former child soldiers of Joseph Kony. The World Bank reports over 66,000 of such children in Africa who've been brutalized and abducted to fight as child soldiers and to be soldier brides in wars that they have no understanding of. Some of them even killing their own parents to prove their loyalty. Jane is the founder of Children of Peace Uganda, a nonprofit which works to heal and empower these youth through psychosocial therapy, creative arts therapy, education, and the children rehabilitate and return home to their community. Since 2004, she's helped over 3,000 of these and counting. Ms. Ekayu also travels around the world, like she is today, to raise awareness on the issues of child soldier and post-war rehabilitation. She's captivated audiences in schools, universities, community groups, human rights organizations, political embassies, and in the United Nations General Assembly Hall. And Reverend Carolyn Wilkins, who's the director of Global Works Ministry at the Agape International Spiritual Center, sponsored Jane's visit to the U.S. to share her work here and also to raise awareness and support for her work back in Uganda. Agape is a trans-denominational spiritual center founded on love, new thought, and ancient wisdom by Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith, one of the most well-known teachers from the book and movie The Secret, also known as my big brother, who was just on the Dr. Oz show as well as on mine. And I've learned that I've learned many of my balance tools from Agape, and I'm grateful to have found a friend and a colleague in Reverend Carolyn there too. We cemented our connection when she came to the operating room last year when I had my hip replacement at St. John's. So without further ado, could you please welcome to the show Jane Ekayu and Reverend Carolyn Wilkins. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
It's so wonderful to have you here again. And just to give a little background, why don't you tell me how you ended up doing what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing?
Wow, thank you so much. Special greetings to all the listeners from Africa and in Uganda in particular. And lots of love from the children who have been affected by armed conflicts in Uganda, in all the other parts of the world. How did I begin working with the children who were returning from Joseph Kone's rebellion? It was in 2004. Mm-hmm. I had known about the war since its inception, from 1988. Mm-hmm. That's when the war started. And inside my heart, I really wanted I looked at myself, I'm like, what is that I can do as a person, to help the children, to help have this war come to an end and ensure the war doesn't repeat itself anywhere in any part of the world. So this morning I decided just to get up. There is a rehabilitation center, the Rakeli Rehabilitation Center, that had opened in the region where I come from, in Lira district in Uganda. And I told myself I want to be there as these children return. I want them to pass through my hands. I just wanted to be there and tell them it's unfortunate what you've gone through, but even so you can start all over again and succeed in life. So I just walked into the center and told the coordinator I wanted to work there. She asked me why. I gave her the same reason. And she looked at me and she's like, okay, I'll get back to you. So after 1 week she got back to me actually. And she told me to go for practical interviews, and I just went. And one thing my heart was drawn to are the girls who had returned from captivity, who were child mothers, 13-year-olds with babies because they are abused sexually by the Koning commanders. So I just went and began carrying the babies. I just wanted to be there for them. And that's how I began the work. And little did I know it was going to be for a long time.
Yeah, for your life work. So in the late 80s, you were born in Uganda. You heard about the war. You weren't affected by the war necessarily, or were you?
I was. I survived a number of times myself, you know, because the roads were so unsafe to travel. You're almost entering an ambush, and so I was definitely affected. My neighbors that I know, the rebels attacked several times, even the village where I come from. So each time we survived. Yeah.
And for those who are listening who don't listen to the news like I do, and just a recap from what I have heard and read, he would break into houses, and we talked about this on the last show. He would just break into a house, put the guns on the parents, take the children, and force them into either as child brides or soldier brides or child soldiers fighting on the front line for his cause.
That's exactly what happened.
And sometimes would even have them kill their own parents to prove their loyalty.
Yeah.
That's
exactly what happened. And so much, the reality on the ground is what goes into the media is so little compared to the actual reality on the ground. You know, as I work with these children over the years, I've worked for the children for the last 10 years. There are certain things that the children are subjected to that we cannot even mention on air because we know other people's hearts can't contain it. You know, the children are forced to kill their own siblings. I have counseled children 9-year-old. Then there was another girl about 13 who were forced to kill their own parents. You know, before they are abducted. The children are sexually abused in any way. And it's worse for the girl child. Because what the rebels definitely do is they can surround one community and abduct every single child in that community, even as young as 6-year-olds, you know. And the children are definitely trained, indoctrinated to become child soldiers. They're used as carriers for loads that they loot in different places. The children, especially the girl child, has double tragedy. Besides being trained as a child soldier, they're used as sex slaves, you know, to the commanders. And you ask a girl, how many of you were given to one commander? She would say, I think we're about 40 or 50 of us, you know.
40 or 50 young girls. Young girls are given to a commander or a soldier to be at his beck and call whenever he wants them.
Yeah, you know. And the children, I remember there was a 13-year-old. She narrated to me how, that was too much, how they were abducted and then they were paraded. The rebels would parade them and undress the children to check their maturity, if there are those who should be given out, you know, checking all the biological, you know, features and all that. And they're paraded before all the other children that are stripped naked. You know, I remember she asked me, say, Mommy, that's how most of them call me. If it were you, what could you have done? I didn't have a good answer, but I told her I would have felt exactly what you're feeling. You know, so that is the brutality of the LRA. Children are killed in the presence of the other children. Children, some of them, I remember there's one of my girls, we used to call them our daughters at the center. Actually, she works with me now, right? She's our accountant at the Children of Peace organization. She told me if a child made any slightest mistake, like drink water, which is stagnant water on the road as they're moving or in the bush, a child is killed for that. She told me of a child who was burnt, you know, with the fire. They just collected grass and burnt because this child just drank dirty water which was on the road because the child had finished so many days without water. That's how brutal the LRA is. I want people to know. Some of these things don't come to the media. But I want the world to know this has been one of the worst. And we can't have it continue. And we cannot have this repeat itself in any part of the world. And I know that when all of us rally together, we can have this war come to an end and ensure it doesn't happen anywhere in the world. Children need mothers, not commanders. Children are supposed to be holding books, not guns. Because that's where all of us came from. We're given books to go to school. And that's where we are today. You know, whichever position you hold today in the universe, either you're the president or prime minister, anywhere, somebody put books in your hands and sent you to school. There is a government that protected you, that was in place. And today it's our responsibility to protect the children of the world. Children cannot be soldiers. No.
If we could just all close our eyes for a second and just take a really deep breath. And I so believe in the power of intention and visualizing a future where Jane's words exactly, it's not going to happen anymore. And the collective energy and healing peace that we have in our hearts and in our minds, just send this out now. And taking that deep breath in through the nose and releasing it through the mouth. And all in agreement say, and so it is.
And so it is.
Yes. Wonderful. Thank you so much. That was hard. Reverend Carolyn, you are to be thanked for bringing Jane here. And as you listen and you've worked closely with Jane and Brian as they're over here, where's your heart?
Well, I am honored really to be a part of an organization and a ministry that has the opportunity to speak and work with phenomenally courageous people like Jane. To actually be on the forefront of allowing yourself to step out and be a part of what is going on. She didn't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
She was relatively safe in her own world, even though the war affected her.
Mm-hmm.
But she did not have to turn her life over to these children.
True.
So I commend her
Yes.
for doing that, for having a big, big heart to
Yeah.
embrace so many children.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to share is when I look at some of the things that are going on, it's not only Uganda, it's Rwanda, the Congo, India, other places, and they are impacted. I sound a little bit better now.
Yeah. Good movement.
We are looking at opportunities to bring peace to so many countries around the world. There's actually organizations that operate to be umbrella organizations to end child soldiers. There are over 100,000 around the world and over 200 insurgencies in different places. And there are policies that are being brought forth to say, do not bring children under 18. They cannot be soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really a higher intent that we have for this. The work that I do with Global Works is humanitarian outreach, intercultural and interfaith programs, so that we get to know, embrace, and celebrate the lives of people around the world. And the more we come together, the more we know that we have so much in common.
Mm-hmm.
That what we often see in the media makes it look like we are separate.
Yes.
Because we have different identities, maybe different customs, different cultures. But what really happens is when we come together and commune with each other, we find that we have the same hearts that are associated with children. We all want to have decent jobs, raise families,
Mm-hmm.
and be in community. So I am just touched by the work we do and want to encourage people who are listening to hear this with your heart and also know that there's action that can be taken place here.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we are oceans apart, what can happen in this process is not only to set a level of consciousness about peace and nonviolence, but also to speak with our congressional representatives
Mm-hmm.
when they have time to talk to us, or to force our positions in letting them know that this is not acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the program that we're going to have at Agape on the 26th is a Saturday the 26th, which is a screening of the film Children of War.
Mm-hmm.
I mention this because what has been shared may sound like atrocities, and they are.
Mm-hmm.
But what is shown in the film is a journey that takes you from the children and their perspective of not only what's happened to them, but what they
Right.
have become.
Right, right.
So it is such a marvelous film
yes.
that captures the children in their words. It also shows it shares some of the things they've gone through, but it also shows the work that Jane and the team have done to help elevate them, help them go through forgiveness programs, art programs, exercises that allow them to become peacemakers.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is the power of the work that she's doing. It's not just embracing the children, but it is retraining them, re-educating them, allowing them to know that there is a life after this horrible experience, that the experience is not who they are.
Exactly.
And that's what we teach
Exactly.
in our work.
Yes.
That you can have an experience, you can be in a situation, but that does not define who you are.
Absolutely.
So it is so powerful to be able to know that that's happening with those children. And we want to strongly encourage the support for Jane and Children of Peace,
right.
so that more children can have that experience.
That's right. And that's Saturday, October the 26th
Yes.
at 7 p.m. And tickets are only $20, which is nothing.
Yes.
And it is, you can get the tickets online at agapelive.com. There's a VIP reception that's before, or is it after?
It's afterwards.
After, okay.
And there's special reserved seating. If you purchase the VIP tickets at $50, then there's reserved seating as well as entree to the reception and conversation with Jane and Brian Single,
Right.
who is the film director.
Right. And
Yes.
and again, all of the benefits go towards Jane's work in Uganda. So there's no reason why you should not be there. I'm trying to change my schedule
Yes.
to make sure I get there too. I love being in any kind of VIP situation.
Yes.
Just kidding. No, I'm not. So, but I really, I want to emphasize too that, you know, I'm all about balance, and I wanted you to share, not to sensationalize the horror. Okay, because our media does have a tendency to, you know, oh, the shooting this and the massacre that. It's not the blood and gore, but it is the truth. So they're balancing that. And what I love about the film is that it does balance that
Yes.
with the most important part, which is the healing from. And exactly what you said, Rev Carolyn, right on the money, that no matter what's happened to you, even as horrific as what happens to these children, you are not that pain. You're not defined by what you have happened.
No.
And I want you to talk about that, because I tease my listeners, you know, you say you can't forgive someone who, you know, honked their horn or gave you the finger on the freeway, or, you know, someone who called you an idiot like 10 years ago and you can't forgive that, or someone that called you fat, or whatever it is, you can't forgive that. And here are these kids who have had the worst possible things happen. As that 9-year-old said to you, Mama, how do I, you know, what would you have done? How else am I supposed to feel except in so much pain and shame and blame and anger and revenge, all of those feelings? How are we supposed to feel anything but that? And these children don't feel that. So if they can make it through the process that you're going to explain in a second, then what an amazing testament for us who don't even, you know, maybe in our minds we suffer as much, but we certainly don't go through abuse like that. Isn't it time for us to get that same freedom from forgiveness and the healing that comes from it? So tell me the process that they go through. So they come and say, Mama, this is what they did to me.
And if I had to describe my work, I would say exhausting and very energizing.
Exhausting and very what?
Energizing.
Energizing at the same time. Okay.
And why do I say this? You know, these children come from all this high level of abuse. But I'm telling you, when you give them the attention that they should get, the process of recovery is so fast. And you know, you see the people who don't want anything they have gone through happen to another child, you know, and you see them say, I want to become this. Because we take them, the method that we use in our trauma therapy is creative art, which includes music, dance, drama. They draw, they do anything, you know. And then we ask them whom they want to become, you know. They told you, there's one who says he wants to become the president of Uganda. I asked him why. He says he doesn't want another child to go through what he's gone through. We have children who want to become lawyers in spite of what they have gone through. And it's so amazing that we take them through the process. And one of the major methods that we use in trauma therapy, one of the main topics is forgiveness. The subject of forgiveness counts so much. Why? Number one, it benefits the survivor. You know, you who has been hurt, if you don't accept to arrive at a position where you're able to forgive the people who hurt you that much, you hurt more. And you don't deserve that anymore. And that's exactly what we tell the children. They don't deserve to be hurt, any more than what they have.
Right.
Because what happens with unforgiveness, the anger, eats up your health.
Yes.
Our bodies are not created to contain anger, to contain hatred. They're meant to love. I want you just to imagine when you love somebody, when you see that person, you just feel good. And the whole system of you feels good. That's how our hearts were designed for. But if you hate somebody, you just look at somebody or something and you get sick immediately. I don't know. That's what I feel. I don't know if every other person feels the same.
No, there's actually medical studies to prove now exactly what you're saying. They watch the cells, and your immune system is impacted by hatred.
So what we help the children to do is arrive to a position where they're able to forgive. We tell them why they should forgive and the basic steps on how they should forgive. First we tell them the why, because number one, it benefits them. It benefits the people who are around them, because once peace is created inside them, which comes from accepting to forgive the people who have hurt them this much, then that peace is given to the next person who is around them, because we give out actually what's inside us. That's what we give. If it is love, we give out love to the next person. If it is hatred, you are going to give it to the next person, either consciously or unconsciously, So then we begin, when these children arrive at a position where they're able to forgive, the people who have even forced them kill their own parents. It's a process. It's not overnight. That's what I want everyone to understand. And today you may feel better, and that's what we tell them. Tomorrow again you feel so bad. It's okay. The process has started. It's a process, Just allow yourself, but the faster, the better.
Right. Right.
So when we children arrive at a position where they are being able to forgive, then we begin to see their health improve. We begin to see their grades in school improve. We begin to see the children play again, So that is the power of forgiveness. And our intention, because our slogan is raising peace ambassadors, we want this to flow to the next person, to their communities, to the country, and the world over.
Right. And I love that, because that's not, we want to kill Coney. That's not the thing. It is raising the peace ambassadors. That's awesome. That is awesome.
Because
so beautiful.
For us, who can speak of peace better than the people who have gone through all this pain and know what they want? What they want is peace for everyone. For everyone in any part of the world.
Right. It's not just there.
No.
That's beautiful. If you've just joined us, we are in the studio with two amazing beneficial presences on the planet. I gave you that award last time. I will re-give it to you. Jane Ekayu, who's here from Uganda, who works with the children brutalized by Coney, and Reverend Carolyn Wilkins, the director of Global Works Ministry, who I actually got to do a workshop with a couple of weeks ago to celebrate International Peace Day. And there is the sound of music that's reminding me to take a break and thank this week's show sponsor, David Bardwick and the David Allen Collection in San Diego, California. Discover a unique mix of art, accessories, and furniture from Asia and the Far East. Call it Asian fusion, tropical modern, or contemporary rustic, but it incorporates a blend of styles and eras. My friend David, who I accidentally met 5 years ago when wandering through Solano Beach on the way to speaking at a conference in San Diego, has cultivated his relationships based on mutual respect and trust. He always asks, "Are you happy? Does this work for you?" Before we finish a transaction, is there any hesitation or a no? Then we back off and we don't buy. In this way, he's established a network of collectors and individuals in whom he does the majority of his business. He seeks out kindred spirits who have the same eye as he does for beauty, balance, and workmanship. Balance, that's why we get along. And trust their relationship. And this beautiful outfit that I have on today is a gift from David from Japan. For more information, please visit davidallencollection@gmail.com, located on 241 South Cedros Avenue in Main Street of Solano Beach. That's davidallencollection.com.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa. advocate to live, love, laugh, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Fay on ubnradio.com.
And welcome back. You are listening to Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian female Dr. Phil. Ha ha ha. And we have in the studio Reverend Carolyn Wilkins, Director of Global Works Ministry at the Agape International Spiritual Center, where I get my positive roots watered, and Miss Jane Ekayu, who is mama to her children, many children, thousands of children in Uganda, who look to her for just the love and the healing power of her love in this process called forgiveness, as they become peace ambassadors instead of suffering child soldiers brutalized by Joseph Kony. And Reverend Carolyn, though there is a call. We have a call. Let's see who's on the line. Welcome to the show, caller. And who is this?
Hi, Dr. Marissa. It's Chris Schrader.
Hi, Chris Schrader. Do you have a question for Jane
I just
Ekayu?
have I do have a question and I have a comment. My daughter, when she was 16, got involved in the Kony movement, donated her money, got the poster, wore the T-shirt to school, got her friends involved, and she's living in San Francisco now. So I'd like to know if this movie is going to be shown up there so that she can go see it.
Oh, that's nice. Do you know if the movie's going to be shown up there in San Francisco? Maybe, she could organize something.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
sure we could make
Yes.
that
Well,
happen.
she would do it.
Yeah.
She would do it.
You can organize
if-
a home showing
Or school.
or a school, and the video's available for you to do that.
That's wonderful.
Academy of Arts in San Francisco would show it to their kids in the video classes that they teach.
That's great.
Excellent.
Can you contact Reverend
I'll
Carolyn?
Yeah.
Marissa, you can connect me with them, and I'll connect them with the academy.
That
Oh,
sounds
And
Thank you
and
so
they
much.
can and they can and with my daughter, they can connect it and they can get it shown up there.
That would be
Amazing.
awesome.
Thank
That would be
you.
awesome.
Yes.
Thank you, Chris.
so much.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
God bless you. Thank you for what you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, thanks,
bless
Chris,
you.
for calling in.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And you also get, if anyone wants to come, there's a workshop, Reverend Carolyn?
Yes, this coming Sunday, the 13th of October, we're going to have a workshop called Beyond Forgiveness. Jane spoke about the power of forgiveness, and I've done quite a few workshops on forgiveness. And I want everybody to know that we all have our own places of sadness, disappointment, bitterness, some areas of resentment, and true pain that comes from disappointment with people who cannot treat us the way we would like to be treated. So I never try to compare any one situation to another. And the young people who are having these experiences as child soldiers in Uganda, we can never compare our lives to the devastation that they've had. But quite honestly, sometimes when a parent has abused a child or have left them, they are left with the same heartache and pain that they don't know what to do with. So in teaching forgiveness, it's available to everyone. And the program that we're going to do on Sunday is looking at forgiveness techniques from around the world. We're going to have a look at some things that are done in Colombia, in Uganda, in the U.S., and it'll be a phenomenal opportunity to talk about ways to shake off your pain.
That's beautiful.
And that'll be Sunday at 2 o'clock from 2 to 4:30 for a nominal price of $25. And
That's
much of the
cheaper
money
than
will
any
go.
therapy.
Yes, it is.
That's cheaper than any therapy I know.
So all are welcome. We encourage you to come.
Yes.
And it will be a celebration of life, really, that allows you to look at ways to let go of the past and live in today.
That's beautiful. And that's in Culver City at the Agape International Spiritual Center.
Yes.
Again, more information on that. is at agapelive.com. I will be there. I'm actually going to open in an original piece of music that I put music to prayer, and so the prayer of Saint Assis, and I get to do that. I'm excited about opening that whole workshop, which if any of you listeners, and I know all of my listeners are all balanced already, and they have no one to forgive, and they have no resentments at all, but just in case you're a new listener and you say, you know, I've forgiven my husband, and I've forgiven my neighbors, but I just can't forgive and then fill in the blank. Because I was in that spot. I could forgive, and I forgave my husband, forgave everything, but the one person I could not forgive was my mother. And I lived with that pain. And Jane, you talked about that it hurts you more than it hurts anybody else. I love that saying. Unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Or the one that I woke up with one morning was, I hate looking at you so much that I'm going to gouge out my own eye so I don't have to look at you anymore. So that's the price of unforgiveness. So if you're anyone who still, you know, the person who did them wrong can be dead, or they can be in 5,000 miles away, but they are still impacting you, then this is the workshop for you. Reverend Carolyn has brought not just one way to forgive, but all around the world, the most effective forgiveness techniques for a mere $25 that you'd be helping Jane and her work in Uganda. Please come. That's next Sunday, this coming Sunday,
yes. And I also want to encourage you, if you think that there's some mundane things that you shouldn't even be talking about, like a business partner that may not have followed up on something, or
someone who owes you
money that is owed. Those things harbor themselves deeply within you and do not allow you to move forth to the greatness that is awaiting you. And Jane talked before about the fact that sometimes whatever you are inside is what people feel. So when you're out there trying to get a bank loan or trying to find a new partner, all of the vibration that you have, the junk stuff, the things that don't serve you, is what people see.
Right.
Now, if you go out with a heart that is open, with a smile, with an idea that life is good, and regardless of what's happened to me, I'm available for more good, then you attract people who want more good in their lives. And a question I ask people all the time is, would you want to be your own partner? And when you look at it from that perspective, then you might have an idea of how people see you. Because I think if you look at yourself, would I want to date that person? Would I want to marry that person? Would I want to live with that person? And you start to see some of the things that you bring into the world every day, you'll learn to forgive yourself.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Yeah, it's that same vibe. You know, if someone's, you know, I didn't add to the list of mothers and husbands, but even in relationship, if someone quote unquote broke your heart, or they didn't complete you, or they took your breath away and you suffocated, then that's in your, so you want a relationship, but you can't seem to maintain a relationship. It's very likely that you're carrying in that, you know, oh, I'm just waiting for them to break their promise to me.
Yes.
And then you become this either very clingy or very, one of these. I guess the camera's on. We can go like that. Very confusing signals, but absolutely.
Yes. And I think the only other thing I wanted to add is the power of the work that Jane is bringing. Jane and Brian in their work with the Children of War film and the follow-up organization, the Children of Peace, is that these principles can be applied to everyday environments. We live, and this is broadcast around the world, I know, but we are localized here in Los Angeles. Many of you have heard about gangs in South Central and other places, and there are warring gangs from different ethnic backgrounds. And the work that we have done on forgiveness can be used right here.
Mm-hmm.
The children are suffering. Sometimes they go through gang situations where they're forced to kill somebody.
Mm-hmm. True.
We have parallel experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, people don't think about the world that young people live in here as being similar to a war-torn situation
Mm-hmm.
in another part of the world.
Mm-hmm.
But we are at war
Right.
in the schools.
Right. Right.
So we want to bring a consciousness of peace, of nonviolence, and tools and techniques, anything that we can use to elevate and bring hope to our children
Mm-hmm.
is what our work is about.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Each one of us, if we start with ourselves,
Yes.
be the change that we want to see. If we manage our own unforgiveness and uncover the love that we are, so that's the most important way we connect,
Yes.
then we are doing our part in raising our own peace ambassadors in our own home. And with two teenagers at home right now, I totally needed to hear this.
I just wanted to add a brief testimony. Last month, before I came on this trip, one of the boys, I've watched him over from the time he was abducted at the age of 6 years by the rebels, and that very night his father got killed. He was paraded over to Sudan, so he was there for 5 years, and then he returned. He went through my hands at the rehabilitation center. So because what we're focusing right now is on follow-up.
Right.
So the post-war rehabilitation and empowerment of these children. So he came to me and told me there's something he wanted to tell me. I knew there was something, definitely, because I know when they say that there's something.
Right.
So he told me, are you seeing that boy in school? Both of them were in the same school. He told me, are you
Right.
seeing that boy there? I said, yeah. He told me, that boy thinks I'm the one who killed his father. And they don't like me completely, and I'm afraid. And the families, and yet they come from the same village.
Right.
So I told him, I want you to tell me the truth. Because we know how the rebels force, because what the rebels, their intention was to create uttermost hatred in the community. If they abduct children from this community, if they are coming back to raid the next village, they will bring these children to that village. Because the possibility that the other people will recognize that, oh, that is so-and-so's child is very high. So that creates enmity amongst families.
Right.
So I asked him if he was taken to that home when they killed the parent in that home. He told me no. That time when it happened, I was in Sudan. So I said, it's okay. I understand. So I knew it was a big task, but I knew it is possible. So I asked the boy to begin coming because we meet the children in different topics every
Right.
week. So I asked him to begin coming for our meetings, the counseling sessions. And then in August, this is October, I was handling the topic on forgiveness. So all of them were there, that boy. And then I went to their home and we picked 2 of his sisters to put in our education sponsorship program. My intention was to bridge the gap that was
Right.
there.
Right.
So when this other one saw that, I think he felt we were doing something that was good.
Right.
Then I asked somebody to tell him to come for the
Right.
meeting. So he comes. So this time I handled forgiveness. Then at the end of it, I have the pictures. I have them in my laptop. All of them, the 4 came and told me, oh, Mommy, can you take us a picture? Inside my heart, I was like, yeah, that is good. That's what I wanted.
So
So-
they were able to forgive
Yeah.
each other.
To me, I would say it's not completely gone, but to me, that was a huge step.
Right. Right.
you know.
Right.
So that is the kind of situation that we are faced with. But what I want to emphasize to all of us, all human beings are the same. If these children are able to forgive these people
Right.
who have hurt them this much, who forced them to kill their own parents, who forced them to kill their own siblings, they are able to arrive to a position where they're able to forgive. Then each one of us can forgive. You can forgive the person who has hurt you in any way.
Yes.
Because we want to save you, number one.
Yes.
It will benefit you, number one, and then,
Yes.
like I said, it flows. That's
Right.
what we want.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. It's going against sort of the Cinderella way of living where, everything is fine and then you live happily ever after. And then the reverse of that, if someone hurts you really badly, then you're screwed for the rest of your life. that, or you deserve to have a normal childhood, or somehow if you didn't have a normal childhood that you're never going to catch up, it's never going to get better. And that is a flawed premise in this lifetime. If we're all the same and we all have a life and there's many possibilities in life, what happened to you in the past that is bad? It's not that we don't need to deal with it, but the power of forgiveness to sort of complete that deficit, so to speak. It's sort of, here's your deficit, there's an empty bowl. And what forgiveness does is sort of fills that bowl with some balm so that it's no longer a lack. There's no longer a hole when it comes to thinking about what you missed out. So if you didn't miss out, if this was something that is just drawing your ability to develop something called forgiveness and heal through that, then life starts again as complete. So your future relationships don't have to be impacted by that hole from your past. So just because someone left you or someone neglected you or someone broke your heart, that forgiveness of that and saying, they really just played a part in my life so I could develop something. Now I start again and I can have any kind of relationship that I want with the next person. I can choose to take my life and go. And I know I'm putting words in your mouth, but I believe that your energizing work, as exhausting as it is, gives you more love than you have to give. You can, I get to hug her and see her because she's my guest. For those of you who want that, you have to come to the workshop or the screening. But I'm telling you, when I first saw her speak, she is love. That's who she is, and that's what drew me in to have you on the show. And we all have that capacity. Reverend Carolyn's the same way. She walks that peace. She is that peace. She's in the perfect position in her job for that. I am, people have said I'm a lighthouse. That's what I do. I make lemonade. I pour, I don't give you Kool-Aid. I give you lemonade. Whatever it is that's happened to you in the past does not define you in the negative, unhealed, bitter, angry, resentful product. It's not a finished product. It's just a point that you can now work through. All right, final words.
Actually,
yes.
What happens to you is there to strengthen you.
Yeah.
So come to the workshop and you'll find intriguing ways that all of those things that you have been denouncing are actually part of the way that life has brought you to the point that you're at. And I wanted to just do a final point on the mission of Children of Peace Uganda. The website is www.childrenofpeaceuganda, UGANDA, and
.com.
you can .com, and you can find there information about the programs and ask. There's also a connection to the film, and if you want to see a screening, you can send information there. And their mission is to promote peace, human security, and sustainable development for former child soldiers and children born in captivity. Our journey marks the renewal of life, a rebirth of dignity, self-reliance, empowerment, and security for the children affected by war. There's more to it, but I wanted you to hear those words that are so profound, that the promotion of dignity, self-reliance, empowerment, and security.
Beautiful,
Yes.
beautiful. Thank you so much. We actually get to I can't reach you, but thank you so much, 谢谢, for coming to the studio. Absolutely phenomenal. And there's totally more where this came from. Please join us this Sunday and the following Saturday. Next week, we're going to have a very passionate show for those of you who've been rooting my client on, Chris, and his healing from past pain that he so courageously shared on the air, being sexually abused by Episcopalian priest when he was a teen, and the bill that my listeners have helped over several hurdles on the legislative floor. The horrible news just came out a couple of days ago. The governor, Jerry Brown, has vetoed SB 131. So next week I've invited Chris and Esther from Survivors Network of Those Abused by Priests and IVAT, the Institute for Violence, Abuse, and Trauma, and the senator who originally sponsored the bill onto the air for the question of the week. What now, Jerry Brown cow? Sometimes it helps to laugh to ease the frustration. So tune in to www.ubnradio.com next Tuesday at naturally high noon for Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa Pay. That's P for positive, EI. And remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out.